Hey YouTube, Kitten Cat showed some of the responses she gets from witnesses, and I've seen some terribly personal and offensive comments made against others here on YouTube, and I too get my fair share of slack-jawed abuse from Jehovah's loving people. I think Dan Mehra did a video entitled something like Stay Out of the Kitchen, where she advises serving witnesses that watching apostate videos are against your own rules, so at least let your claims of piety be matched by your words. But seeing the quality of the Jehovah's Witness respondents, it occurs to me that maybe Dan Mehra is asking too much, so I thought I'd volunteer some advice. If I say something in a video you don't like, the logical response isn't to call my parentage into question. That's an ad hominem and signifies immediate debate surrender. What I said was about the cult. I don't know you, so I couldn't possibly pass a comment on you, and neither you to me. I'm only talking about your cult, so remain calm and be sensible. If you disagree with me, that's fine, but the reasonable, sensible and logical thing to do is find out why I make that assertion, or think about what I said and find a weak point. That puts me on the spot. I then have to provide you with evidence for what I say. My evidence can come in several forms. Anecdotal, as in the recounting of my experiences, I accept you can't fact check. But when anecdotal evidence is in the Watchtower, the Awake or assemblies, you seem more than happy with hearsay then. So to remain intellectually honest, you have to apply the same rigorous critical analysis to the governing body as you do to me. After all, we're just all guys. My evidence can also take the form of documentary, in terms of witness quotes from the Awake, Watchtower, etc., which I should reference so you can check for yourself. But don't forget, you should fact check your leaders too. Now, the honest response to evidence is nothing to do with my mother, or unseen, undocumented alien spirits, or anything for that matter you cannot demonstrate. So if I say something about the cult and your response involves the devil in some form, I'm only going to ask you to produce the witness upon which you are relying. So if you can't summon the devil, don't bring him up. Deal with facts as raised, or you surrender. In many of my online exchanges with witnesses, I've noticed that when you do at last find one prepared to cross swords in a civilized manner, they typically break down into three camps, of which two are dishonest. An example of the less devious Jehovah's Witness defender is the distractor. In an earlier video, witnesses were upset when I said that their cult asserts without evidence that Jehovah will slaughter non-witnesses at Armageddon, which is something I feel that the public should know. The distractor's first response is to say I don't know anything about the cult, but when I restore my credibility, they then change the subject to my desire to sin or something else entirely irrelevant, rather than face me. Again, this is a different form of surrender. But the more devious of dishonest techniques I've seen is the witness that pretends to be the honest broker, or not even affiliated. They have no intention of dealing with the issues apostate videos raise, but are there to play to the gallery of the uninformed general public. I suspect many of these responses are from the Bethel itself, and if you remember Anon Dude 2's hearing, the elders expressed concern that his postings would eventually be seen by thousands. Their reputation was the clear priority, rather than the actual problem of Anon Dude's spirituality. And the honest broker is there to smear your character by diminishing the content of your words, and to try to make you look like an outlier. You know, someone whose experiences are exceptional and freakish, and therefore not important. A Jehovah's Witness commenter has even used this technique in relation to child abuse. Now, how cold-blooded is that? Naturally, this is followed up with just move on. This dishonesty is geared towards reducing credibility in front of the innocent public, but I guess it's easily countered. Sometimes witnesses attempt an argument from authority. With female apostates, this often comes with the biblical admonition for them to remain silent in church and to learn in feminine submission, and all sorts of other misogyny. And for me, I've had messages telling me that the governing body represent God and are therefore somehow superior to me, and because of that I should be silent. But I guess the argument from authority is maybe more honest than what I've recounted earlier, but it is profoundly and extravagantly stupid. Do you really think anyone with a brain would submit to that old rubbish? The only people that would are ripe and ready for any weak sauce conman who wants you to sell a depressing little rag for no pay. That's literal slavery, by the way, and give him money to build himself a new Beth Sareem luxury estate, whilst he enacts policies that in practice protect paedophiles from justice. But you'll notice I never said anything about anyone's mother. I talked about the cult. This cult claims that Jesus and Jehovah appointed its leaders to an exclusive public relations representation and sales contract in 1914. Prove it. Where's the signatures? This cult claims that it is the Latter-day Ark. Show me the manifest. Prove it, because any old conman can say words or print them. One of the things that struck me about the Jehovah's Witness respondents is that there is generally no sense of seeking knowledge and truth, no honest inquiry. It doesn't seem to matter to them what they believe, but that they prolong their little delusion day by day. They try to silence, deceive, intimidate, do anything so they don't have to look at themselves and their cult and face bare facts. They don't care about actual truth. They care about feeling it's truth, and that's immature and self-deceptive. It's time to grow up. I'm doing this to help witnesses in another way too. Many years ago, my dead grandfather was told he would never grow old in this wicked system of things. So was my father, as was I, and I'm now old enough to be a ghetto granddad, and none of us got the eternal life the governing body promised. I was there when 1975 passed uneventful, after all the excited build-up. I watched a generation of 1914 die. When will you guys work out that it's a money scam, and that fear sells? Why would the real representative of God tell you not to think, when the Bible itself talks of Bereans and doubting Thomas, and the Psalms tell you not to put your trust in mortal man? Why would the real representative of God control every petty detail of your life and limit your free thought and associations if they didn't have something to hide? Because to me, it seems they need the darkness to do their real work of conning the gullible and the distressed. I know the governing body tells you to safeguard your minds, but you guys have clearly gone too far with that and closed them down altogether.